Assalamu alaikum students. So this is your 8th class first lecture about a poem. This is just online teaching, This is nowadays we are facing some circumstances about coronavirus, and it is a highly spread, you can say, disease or a virus that is going throughout and moving throughout the country, and not only the country as well, throughout the world, as you are watching news or reading news as well. So just because of this virus, we have to take some necessary precautions or measures. So to be at home nowadays, and it is very much important or necessary to be at home and take some health or hygienic measures to save yourself and others as well. So because of this reason, so teaching online is nowadays is at peak. Just because we could help you on the way, we could help you on the way in a sense that your time must be fruitful. So in that sense, we are delivering lectures like through videos. You can understand and you can avail the time you are having at home, especially avoid wastage of time. So this is your first poem. We go. First of all, let me explain a bit of your meanings. Verse 2 now. The poem is, when I heard the learned astronomer. The word learned, this is having two sounds, learned, because we are describing a person like astronomer. Astronomer, a man who knows some information or detailed study of heavenly bodies. Heavenly bodies means the things or objects exist in the space. So he talks about stars, mostly planets, galaxies, like this. So we call astronomer. Learner here mean educated. But when we talk about the second form of the verb learn, it is with T mostly, learnt, or you can say with ed, learned. But when we talk about some adjective form, we say learned. This is the double sound having two parts, learned, two syllables before any person's description. So when I heard the learned astronomer, this is actually the poem we are on the way, and written by Walt Whitman. First of all, let me talk about some words. Astronomer, a scientist who studies stars, moons, planets, and other objects in space. So, like this. Learned, I told you, well educated, usually written and pronounced with two syllables. Learned, like this. Here it is pronounced as one syllable to reflect an ordinary person. Here it is pronounced as one syllable to reflect ordinary person's way of pronouncing or way of talking, we can say, or speaking, like this. Lectured, a lecture is a talk or presentation on subject. Likewise, if you see this information. Lecture room in the 19th century, people often went to listen to talks by experts on a range of subjects. These were held in public rooms or in community halls. So, lecture room, normally we know the lecture room in college, in university, in schools. Likewise, your classroom. So, we can say like this. Mystical, here he says, having or inspiring awe or fascination. Something mysterious, like a secret, having inspiring or awe, fascination. you are surprised to look at, to listen, to watch like this something that creates some amazement in mind. So we can say something mystical pertaining to some secrets or something maybe like supernatural that hits our mind. So we can say like this proofs, evidence that a mathematical equation is true. When you do some mathematics, so you supply some proofs by solving some equations. So we go for this kind of, say, the word proofs in a sense like that. Okay, these are some words. So the poem here he describes. Actually, this poem is talking about scientific ideas, astronomer is talking about some heavenly bodies. I told you, like moons, stars, planets, galaxies. But he's describing scientific definitions with the help of some charts, with the help of some diagrams, making some tables, and describing some numbers. But actually, the poet Wait Whitman, he's describing all these kind of pieces of information about science cannot fulfill the desire of nature. Actually, the scenes of nature, the panoramic beauty of nature cannot be displayed, cannot be described through only charts, through only pictures, through only numbers, like this. I mean, so the poet likes personally to be among the lap of nature, and he wants to enjoy open nature with the trees, flowing water, seas, oceans, lakes, mountains, like that, like this kind of nature. I mean, so this is the comparison, you can say. A man can be satisfied among the phenomena of nature, different type of things described by the poet in this poem as well. So this is the poem, like a central idea, you can say, that nature is actually the natural desire by a person, because we say, we read, man is a social animal. We need some society. And if it is decorated with nature, and it is plus. So this is kind of mid central idea, we can say like this. So if we go through this poem, it says, when I heard the learned astronomer. This pronoun I, it means the poet is describing his personal experience. So there are two persons in this poem. One is astronomer, the second one is the poet. So poet says, when I heard the learned astronomer, when the proofs, the figures were ranged in columns before me. It means that the poet is listening and watching as well the lecture face to face in the lecture room, and there are some kind of witnesses or proofs in the shape of figures or in the shape of some columns in front of him, because astronomer is giving lecture. So when I was shown the charts and diagrams to add, divide, and measure them, there was some symbols of addition, division, or measurement through the lecture with the display by the astronomer with the shape of with the help of charts and diagrams. I mean, different type of shapes. It may be scientific symbols, it may be mathematical shapes. So he's describing his lecture through tables, diagrams, charts. But poet is just looking at it and listening in normal is feeling. When I sitting heard the astronomer, where he lectured with much applause in the lecture room. So he says actually the lecture was going on, and this line shows that people are listening, audience. There is some kind of audience as well who are listening the lecture very carefully, and they are as well showing some applause. Applause means some kind of appreciation by clapping their hands or by saying some good words, he says learned professor, learned astronomer, like these kind of words. They show the appreciation by the audience, and as well by the poet, through these words. How soon unaccountable I became tired and sick. How soon unaccountable? Unaccountable here it means undescribable. You cannot tell in normally or easily. So he says, the poet says, how soon unaccountable I became tired and sick. Okay, so how soon unaccountable I became tired and sick. Unaccountable means undescribable. So it was described by the poet. Actually, the poet is showing very much tired or exhausted situation of his, I think, mind and body. So he's saying he became tired and sick like this. Why? Because I told you, a man is a social animal, so you cannot live without nature. Nature is a natural part of our habits and our mind and heart. We like to enjoy among the beautiful scenes of nature. So this is the poet as well. The poets are very sensitive people. So this is the reason he is not feeling well among all these kind of activities shown by astronomers. So this is what he says. He became tired and sick like this. Till rising and gliding out, I wandered off by myself. In this line, he says, at last, by maybe it is unbearable situation, or maybe it is undescribable situation by him to be in the classroom or lecture room. So he just got up and he came out from the lecture room. Actually, he says gliding out here in a sense that he left the place and he moved out like this, or he came out from the lecture room, or in the next lines, in the mystical moist night air, and from time to time looked up in perfect silence at the stars. In the last two lines, he says, in the mystical moist night air. It was very surprising environment outside of the lecture room. It was night, and definitely there must be stars at night that could look beautiful by the poet as well, because he was in thirst of looking some nature or natural views or scenes. So he at last he found when he came out of the lecture room. So he is feeling, he says, mystical moist. Mystical, I told you, it is something kind of having inspiring or very much fascinating, very beautiful. In other words, you can say the view was very eye-catching, or soul satisfying views of nature he felt, and from time to time looked up in perfect silence at the stars, or he started to look up at the stars, and it was quite you can say silence everywhere at night, and the star was quite clear in the sky with their bright shining, so sparkling, glistening, beaming with light, their lustrous display of light as well. So this was the view actually he was waiting for. At last he found when he came out of the lecture room. So this is actually we can say the feeling of the poet that he wants to be in the lap of nature, and he wants to enjoy some natural phenomena or heavenly bodies. So, likewise, he says this in the mystical, moist night air, and from time to time, locked up in perfect silence at the stars. So, this is the reason he is describing nature in a well way, and he is quenching his thirst of watching nature. So, this was the comparison, and at last he found his environment he was in search of. This is the reason he described that he was not feeling well inside the lecture room. Now he is quite okay, he's feeling well, he is quite happy now because of this view. Okay, students, now after reading this poem, we have to go through your notes for consultation of some MCQs. When I heard the learned astronomer like this, so we have finished this poem. So next, your task is to go for MCQs, and after that, we will go for your question answers like this. We have already on the notes. So first of all, for example, he says, the poem When I Heard the Learned Astronomer is written by, you know this, I told you, it is Walt Whitman. So your answer is, so you have to go through this quickly. Walt Whitman worked as a dash, a teacher and a government clerk. So you know this paragraph when the poet is described before under the side of some kind of paragraph about the poet. So it is very much necessary after finishing your poem you can go through this paragraph. So there's written as well journalist, a man who writes for the newspaper, it is called journalist. Walt Whitman is also known as dash of free verse. So poet, intellectual, fond, and father. So father is an answer. Father of free verse. Father of free verse mean he was the pioneer, or he was the man who created this kind of activity, or who participated with other people, like he shared his knowledge like other people who did the same task. So this is like this father, in a sense we call like expert, we call like the beginner who started this activity, like kind of thing. So number four, question number four, dash phrase is head word is an adjective. So this is simple. Adjective phrases head word is an adjective. Adjective, in ism sifat in Urdu we call. So in that sense we can go. Number five, we say learned means well educated. Illiterate, engineer, mystic, no. You have to say well educated, because I told you learned is a kind of adjective form, but when we call about the verb, it is one sound, learned, like this. But when we call about some adjective, it is having two sounds, like learned, like this. So number six, we call unaccountable means. I told you unexplainable, undescribable, like kind of. So your answer is this. If you watch video again, you can listen this word I told you. The poet hears the learned. He's asking about the poet. Who was he listening to? So he was listening astronomer. So no magician, no teacher, no doctor, like this. The poet became tired and dash. So in the poem we find sick. So we have to focus. If you read the poem very much carefully with the word, uh, with a cool and calm your mind, you can find out these words quite easily without reading again the text. So number nine we go, moist night air, perfect silence are an example of. So these are some literary terms. Imagery, answer is imagery. Imagery normally we have in mind like any word that you read and that creates some kind of picture in your mind or image. So we can say the word is imagery. For example, if I say mountain, you have a image in your mind like mountain is a very big thing, like kind of. When I call sun, so now you have a picture of sun in your mind because we have already seen. So when I say book, so you have this thing in mind. Like this, I mean, some kind of vision, idea that having kind of pictorial display. These are called imagery in our poetical sense, like that. Number 10, he says, the balloon with the yellow stripes burst loudly. The underlined phrase is, so it is kind of adjective phrase because it is describing as well yellow stripes. Yellow, all the colors are included into the list of, adjectives. So we call like this with the yellow stripes. So this is kind of thing. So this is your you know exercise for MCQs on your notes, so you can go through one by one easily all this and try to understand each and every item given here. If we go, next you have to go for your summary. This is your summary for the poem When I Heard the Learned Astronomer, written by Walt Whitman. So don't forget, you will go through this summary and try to understand the things, whatever given here. So this is the thing we need to focus by word. Actually, the best way to learn out all these things for the long time is to try to understand the meanings and the central idea as well of any poem, of any lesson, like that. So after getting this kind of thing, we can go well and easily to understand the things and ideas we share, we want to store, we want to learn by heart. This is way. So first of all, you will go through this poem by yourself, or try to understand the meaning. Then after that, we can learn it by heart. So this is, I mean, don't go for the at the same time all the summary in one day. If it is easy for you, you can go, but normally you can make it half and half. And if you are learning by heart, so after learning by heart or memorizing, try to write. Writing is a good habit after learning by heart, and it makes your learning for a long time. You can save it for a long time in your mind memory. Okay, so this is your summary. It is your effort you have to do, and go and learn it. Next, I just describe some few questions. These are some written questions or already answered. So you have to go do your notes, and you can go one by one. There are total, 7 questions. So you can go one by one every day, 3 questions or 4 questions. You can, as you feel easy, just to try to make it, learn by yourself. In the first half of the poem, where is the poet? The poet is with learned astronomer in lecture room in the first half of the poem. So if we talk about next question, who is he with and what is he doing? He is with the learned astronomer who might be called a well educated person, and he is delivering lecture by showing charts and diagrams. So this is answer. You can save it, but only little bit problematic is question number 6 as well. Question number 2 same, in question number 6 is the same, but in this question number 6, who is he with and what is he doing? So he's talking about after half of the poem, like he says the answer, who is he with and what is he doing? So the answer is he is alone in mystical night air and looking at stars. So this is the second answer after second half of the poem. First half of the poem, he described this, like all this answer. So, I mean, this is the difference between question number 2 and 6. It is describing on the way. So, number 7, what words and images in the first half of the poem are contrast to the perfect silence in the final? So, contrast means something opposite. So, like this, proofs and figures, lecture room where the astronomer lectured in applause are a contrast to perfect silence, like this. So, these are your answers for your poem. When I heard the learned pro astronomer, like this, written by, again and again I am telling the name, Walt Whitman. So this is actually, so you have to go through all these things. First of all, you try to watch this video to understand the poem and meanings, and after that come to MCQs, and after that go to your summary, and next you can go for question answer. These are some uh, activities you can do with the reference to the poem. So this is until now your next things you have to follow and you have to study. Thank you very much today. See you in another video.